So I said, can you have like a heart-to-heart conversation with your mother? And she had a heart-to-heart conversation with her mother, and her mother ने बहुत गाली दिया.
Welcome to The Best Parts, the show where we get into the heads of the characters we love by speaking with the people who brought them to life. I'm Janisya, and in this episode, we have the wise, warm, and wonderful Ashwini Iyer Tiwari talking about her character Chanda in the film Nil Batte Sonata. We talk about the power and pitfalls of single motherhood, the burden of dreaming for our children, and coming of age alongside your surly, badass, but beautiful teen.
कम से कम 50% नंबर लाने हैं मैथ्स में और कसम है अप्पू तू लाएगी चाहे ये दुनिया तहसे नहस हो जाए समझी।
ओ माँ, तू पागल तो नहीं हो गई है? और ये मैट्रिक पास करके मैं क्या उखाड़ लूंगी? और वैसे भी अगर मैं मैट्रिक पास भी हो गई तो तेरी हैसियत है मुझे आगे पढ़ाने की? बनना तो मुझे भाई ही है।
So let me start by unpacking the character, all right? Now, Chanda, she really wants her kid to succeed,
Yeah.
okay? And she wants to break out of the cycle of poverty. And her first introduction to Chanda is the mother as martyr, all right? She does everything for her kid, but then she's also complaining about it. And it's obvious that she herself has had Apeksha as a young woman, like,
Yeah.
a very young mom. And so I want to when the film opens, is there like a naivety about Chanda's ideas of motherhood? We all start out with these very fresh ideas about what kind of mothers we're going to be, and there's a sort of a coddling of her almost. She's not holding her accountable at that stage, and does that explain some of Apeksha's seemingly entitled behavior? She
Yeah.
seems a little entitled sometimes.
Yeah, so basically for me, all of us as mothers and all of us becoming mothers at a very young age, when I say half of the people whom I know and half of our country, we always have gotten married very early and then had children very early.
Yes.
That would be the psychography of, I think, almost half of our country.
For sure. Yeah.
And when you are young mothers, you are in a dichotomy of two things. One is thinking about yourself, and the other one is thinking about, in this case, your daughter. And as a child, you have the responsibility of a mother, and as a human, as a woman, you have the responsibility of your own self.
Right.
I remember being told that the day you have a child, don't forget that you also are there, and you'll start feeling that you're
Somebody
you're
told you?
unwanted.
Somebody told you this though?
Yeah,
Because a
and
lot of women don't get that information.
Yes. So I was very lucky is because I was working in an agency where I've had amazing bosses.
Okay.
And
Women bosses?
No, male bosses.
Wow.
Arvind Sharma and KV Sridhar, who I was one day called to Arvind's cabin, and he told me, you know what, I understand that you're going to feel like very off when you go for your maternity leave, and you may feel that no one is looking at you and no one seems to be bothered about you. You may also feel that everyone else has moved forward and you're still behind. But none of those things are going to happen.
Wow, yeah.
None of those things are going to happen because 3 months will go like this and you're going to be back. Most of the people I know are into this guilt trip.
Yeah, it is. It's very
And the
much
guilt
that
trip is
thing.
there. Even I have that guilt trip.
Yeah.
It's never gone. Even today, after 13 years, it's never gone.
Yeah.
That I need to keep calling home and checking what my daughter is doing. And for once, she will tell me, you know what? I can do things on my own. Please stop it.
Yay! It only took 13 years.
So and it's like, and to the extent that that when you're on an outdoor shoot and you're calling back home, or when they were very young, I started making films. Nil Batte Sonata happened when they were 3 years old.
Yeah,
My daughter was 3.
Yeah.
And
you
I
have
always
twins,
felt,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so that's two little children,
Yeah,
two
so Nil Batte
toddlers.
Sonata
Yeah.
happened during that time, and it was almost like a relationship where it was going on in front of me and it's going behind at my home also, including my DOP, who evolved in the making of Nil Batte Sonata, who connected with his daughter
Oh.
the way, so I think we all learn through what we make and in the kind of films we make. For me, Nil Batte Sonata was a very important film, is because it just somewhere put the idea of what my mom always told me when I was young. I belonged to a fairly middle class family, and my mother always told me, she was a teacher, a principal of a school, like all our mothers and of our generation.
Yeah.
And she told me that, the one thing which you need to do is that you need to get educated.
Yeah.
You need to have a good job.
Yeah.
You need to fall in love. You need to get married.
Yeah.
You need to have a child, but you still need to take care of yourself and do your own thing. So that had always been engraved. For me, it was never...
That is the having
For
it
me,
all,
the
right?
conversation was
Yeah.
never about, oh, once I get married, then I do not know what was going to happen to my work.
Yeah.
Versus now it's completely different. This I'm talking 20 years back.
Of course, yeah.
That the conversation was that what is going to happen after you get married or after you have your children? What is going to take a back seat or what is going to take a front seat?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong in that. And that's exactly Chanda's purpose is basically that what she could not do,
Yeah.
she
wants
wanted
for
her child.
To some extent, the child, okay, has to be quite mature and quite accepting of that love, the power of that love, rather than feeling like, I'm so great. Like, my mother's irritating me with all her dreams. You know what I mean? There
But
is
that's
that,
true.
like,
Isn't that
they do
true?
get so irritated with
That's true. All our daughters or kids get irritated with these kind of things, and that's what happens with Chanda and Apu also.
Yeah.
Apu gets irritated with the fact. Also, Apu is very practical. She's a very practical girl.
She is, yeah. But
Because for her, from the kind of environment she comes in and
Yeah.
what her mother does for a living, she sees her and her surroundings. Apu's, where she's born, is not her. It's not her responsibility. It's not her mistake.
No, that's true.
But way Chanda changes the whole environment for her
Yeah.
to say that, this is what you're going to be doing. Because for her, it is that this is what I've seen around
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
and this is what it's
This
supposed
is all
to
I
be.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
But when you change the supposed to be to something else,
yeah.
then the world is a platform for you.
Correct.
And that's what is happening right now.
Like, okay, well, let's just go back for a second. Okay, so her attire, her appearance, and all, she's got that very like harried working woman. Sari's not been worn with much precision, and she's the huge bag and those rubber chappals. And so I read that as part of her research, Swara spent a lot of time with domestic workers in Agra,
Yeah.
and learning mannerisms and phrases. And I also heard that you said that she is a dialect queen, and she's like she
Yeah.
just sucks it up. So when you were creating her look, and when we're putting the way she looks together, is there anything particular that happened? Did you have to change anything? Did you think, oh, maybe this has a, after you talking to the researchers and talking to Swara and all, was there any fine tuning basically?
So basically, there's a very good backstory here. So when I approached Swara for the first time, Swara said that I'm not a mother, I have no idea about how a mother
Should behave,
functions
yeah,
or
yeah.
should be, and also someone who's like this. So her first thing was that then I told her that, have you spoken to your mother, to Ira auntie?
I read about this.
And she told me, no, I've never. So I said, can you have like a heart-to-heart conversation with your mother? And she had a heart-to-heart conversation with her mother. And her mother ne bahut gali diya. Like, you did this.
It's about time.
In this class you did this. In this class you did this. And Swara said that it was like almost like one.
yeah.
Like barso
Like
se,
exorcism kind
yeah,
of, yeah,
it was
of all
like
those
for
feelings.
so many years I think it was there, and then mom just just
Exploded.
put it out, and then she said that, okay, this is what you need to do, and this is how it is. So basically a lot of mannerisms
Yeah.
came from
The mother.
Ira
Her own-
auntie.
Oh.
Yeah, and I wanted to make her a happy person. I
Yeah,
never wanted to
exactly.
shoot things which are grum
No,
and
I know.
dark,
I know.
and that moment you see this, everything, the light is very low and everything is unhappy. No. I have seen that they had the most amazing parties and dance there. During Ganpati, I've gone.
Yeah.
And the amount of festivals and how they enjoy,
Yeah.
you have to learn something.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from my didis, is because they dress really well during festivals, and then they go for dances, they cook really well, they have like a feast which is there.
Yeah.
We have forgotten all that.
Yeah.
So for me Swara was all that. I felt that she would be someone, if you go and go back to Nilbate Sanada and see it, even for me, her blouses, what she wore,
Yeah.
had to be something where it had a little cut work on the
Yeah, there
on
was a
the
little touch.
maybe she will have
Yeah.
5 blouses, but the
Yeah.
5 blouses will be really pretty.
Yeah.
Or even the saris. Maybe she of course she cannot buy those expensive saris going to a store, but Agra is the place for second-hand saris.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's the hub.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
so there will be shots where there are saris, they're washing the saris
Yeah,
on
yeah. I
the
didn't put those
banks.
two things
Yes,
together.
so
though.
what I literally did was that I went to the second-hand market, and they're as brand new because they resell that.
Right, right.
And I bought like it would have been like the cheapest costume design
Wow.
because
But that's
I
amazing.
got those saris. I got like I think some 20 saris with beautiful colors. For me, her enjoying those noodle night or watching horror movies with her
Right.
daughter was a very important aspect. Her life revolved around her daughter,
Yeah.
but her life also revolved around the fact that what she could not do has to change in the way she looks at her daughter.
And it's on her.
And it's
like,
on her.
she's
And
the
she will
only
go
one.
that extra effort.
Now, of course, Chanda and Dr. Diwan, what a beautiful relationship, and their camaraderie. And Diwan is she's like a mother figure to Chanda in some ways. Like, she's got that slightly tough love approach also. And when the doctor tells Chanda that she has to enroll in school so that she can teach her kid.
स्कूल जाएगी तू?
हैं?
स्कूल जाएगी?
हाँ हाँ चलो स्कूल, हम दोनों चलते हैं, टीचरों की नाक में दम कर देंगे.
मजाक नहीं कर रही हूँ मैं.
Now, Dr. Diwan knows what she's doing. She's leveling up the confidence for Chanda.
Yeah.
She knows what's going to happen, right? She knows that basically I'm not just support. I'm changing who you are. If
Yeah.
you want your child to change, you have to change. But if I said it in those words, you won't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Yeah.
knows it's like a strategy, right? She's
Yeah.
manipulating her for her own
Yes,
good,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, like when you were writing the character, did you feel that this was an important part, that she doesn't say it overtly? She has to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, see, because for Ratna Patak Shah, who's Mrs. Diwan, she herself is a doctor and a professor, and she's used to maneuvering ideas with her students, and I think it's a thing that when you want someone to go ahead and pursue their dreams, things should also not come very easy.
they don't, yeah.
Because if they
Yeah.
come easy, then you do not value the
Correct.
importance of what you've actually got. So she's putting in things where somewhere she feels that she has taken the decision and she has made the
Correct.
way.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
She's
she
making
has
her
just,
think it's her
she has
idea.
just given the
Yeah.
lead.
Yeah.
The lead to go and pursue. Others, she could have gone picked up a call on a
Yeah.
collector or anyone, but she makes sure that Chanda goes and speaks, and Chanda speaks in the most
It's straight from
it's
the
straight
heart.
from the heart.
It doesn't-
It's,
there- yeah,
it's
it's
like
like
there is
yeah.
nothing. There is nothing which is very businesslike,
No.
or even of that he's a collector I'm talking to.
No, she's just lovely. Yeah.
For Mrs. Diwan, it was like
Yes, that
I
is-
am
yeah.
accessible for you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you
but
do
I'm not going to
not-
spoon feed you.
Yeah, do not take me for granted.
Lovely. Also, like that's the thing, Divan's attitude, even when Chanda is talking about all the changes she's going to have to do so that she can
Yeah.
go to school, okay? It's also resonant with the kind of constraints women put on themselves. Nobody else will tell you can't do it, but you'll be like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And the doctor doesn't have any time for these excuses, right?
Yeah.
And she's like,
देख चंदा, इतनी प्रॉब्लम है ना, तो मत पड़ इस झंझट में.
if it's too difficult, then don't do it.
Don't do it.
ठीक है ना, let your daughter become a maid.
Yeah,
You can't have everything.
Correct,
so don't have
correct.
nothing, you know?
Correct.
And it's harsh. And that's what I'm saying, when they know how to turn the knife, right?
Yeah.
Because she's probably in a different way been in the position that Chanda is
Yeah.
right now. And this positive manipulation is actually one of the most, it's the way the world goes around, I feel.
so for Chanda, her moment of having chai with Mrs. Diwan opens up doors to many more possibilities.
That is her portal in the
That's her
morning.
portal in the morning.
I love it. I love it. It's just, that's what a beautiful image. That idea of sitting and having a cup of tea and knowing that your day could change very dramatically basis because this person who's invested in you.
Yeah.
She's actually invested in her well-being.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
it's a real blessing. Well, let's talk about Chanda and Apeksha for a minute. For obvious question, like, why are kids such dicks?
I
Let's
think our
discuss.
parents also would have told the same thing about
Yeah,
us.
I know. But now,
um,
I'm just joking. But it's like, firstly, they tear out of you physically, like when they're born, and then they tear out of you metaphorically when they reach a certain age. Like, it's just violence. It's just like, like the
I too
alien,
have stopped. I have stopped saying that. How much, कितनी मेहनत की मैंने तुम्हें पैदा करने के
No,
लिए.
even I don't say that.
All the
Pretend it was
drama,
just
and
breezy.
then it's like 4 eyes rolling, and said, yeah, how many times are you going to tell us this? We have done. Don't be a stuck
No,
record,
yeah. And then also there are children who sue their parents for being born and all. So like, I mean, they're not that bad. Our kids are fine.
It's like, calm down, mother. It's fine. Now I've not been called mom or amma or anything.
They call you by the first name.
Mother.
Oh, mother, of course. Madre. Yeah. But this also, when you have your kids young, okay, like Chanda has here with Apeksha, there's like a sibling. They're like siblings, okay? So Apeksha has no fear of her mother.
तू ठीक तो है?
क्यों?
कुछ नहीं, तेरी बकवास सुनने की आदत है ना, इसलिए पूछा.
Beyond a point, she doesn't even see her as a mother figure. And in single mother households, at least from whatever anecdotally you hear and all, the mother has always been the tyrant, because there's a big ship
To
that
be
she
a
has
mother
to
and a father.
mother and
Yeah.
father, and she's fighting her own battles. So here it's like that. I really like the energy between the two of them. Like,
I think that was a inspired what I wanted to see.
yeah. Okay.
So as a storyteller, I would like audiences to have this kind of relationship between the daughter and the mother,
Yeah.
rather than becoming a devil. I hope my daughter doesn't tell me that now. But I was inspiring to become a friend for my daughter.
Yeah.
And even today, I
Did
said,
you have
"Look,
that relationship with your mother? Were you all friends?
yes. We were friends who fight crazy.
But that is, yeah.
And
that's
even
par
at
for the
this
course.
age.
It's lovely. So this is the thing. I love the energy between the two of them. I feel like it was very resonant.
Yeah.
It's like that's the kind of.
But
even
also-
though it can be difficult then when it comes to. I use the word discipline very loosely, but it's just like, oh, I'm your buddy. But then now I have to step back and tell you, like, pull your socks up.
Yeah.
It's time to study.
No, it's also from the
know?
other person's from the daughter's point of view. She's
Yeah.
still much younger in her thought
She
process.
is, yeah.
So
She
the
has this
first
false sense of maturity because she's hanging out with her mother.
Yeah. And what happens is that then anything wrong which happens, there'll always be the first person to be pointed on is the mother.
Yeah.
That it's because of you this thing
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
You should have done this thing on time. Then it is no more about friends or anything.
No.
It's like you did this and therefore this thing happened.
Yeah.
So it's a very complex relationship between a
Yeah.
mother and a daughter, even especially in this generation also. But I think most important thing, we as parents and we as mothers have to strive to be friends to our children now in this generation. And that's what even Chanda somewhere tells Apu, that you need to be your own Apu.
Yeah.
You need to be your own Apeksha.
Yeah.
No one can be. So if other people are doing something, you don't have to be that.
Right.
You can be your own thing. But how you do it is up to you.
Yeah.
But she took that challenge of participating with her in the class is because that's the only way she could change
Yeah.
and educate herself also at the same
Yeah.
time.
So that was like, yeah,
That
so
was a
that's when
leap
it,
of
yeah,
faith.
that's when it, but it
It
all
all
pops off
pops
then.
off, yeah.
So that's the thing. So when she joins, she's also got this, because of the same age thing. It's like she also has a sibling rivalry in some ways. It's like there is a kind of a, like, when Chanda joins school and Apeksha doesn't acknowledge her. And then she accuses her of coming to steal her friends and her identity and all.
तू पास होगी तो कोई क्यों हंसेगा लल्ली?
ये ज्ञान ना तू स्वीटी और पिंटू को ही दिया कर. पास क्या हो गई, खुद को बहुत बड़ी हीरोइन समझने लगी है. अरे भाई है तू भाई.
What is going on in Apeksha's mind at that time?
See, at the end of the day, sibling rivalry will always be there, and also competition
Yeah.
at one side. So then in the school, she's no more her mother. She's
Yeah.
just one more
One more
person
student.
there.
Yeah, correct.
But also there's an embarrassment, and the embarrassment is
that if
that my
somebody finds out it's my mother.
mother is there in school.
Oh, so she's kind
It's
of
that.
she's
It's
kind of
that,
preempting
yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of fear.
it's that. It's that,
Oh.
I don't want anyone to know that you're my mother. and
But
I
that
think we
was also
all
hard.
face
Yeah,
that.
that is true.
Yeah,
There are those moments.
there are
Yeah.
those moments that why don't you just drop me here and we can walk it up.
Yeah.
Because they are own individuals and they have their own point of view, and somewhere she feels that she will be embarrassed amongst her friends.
Yeah.
And during that time, I think when you're 15, 16, the teenage years, the most important people in your life
Yeah.
are not your parents.
No, they're
Actually,
your
they are your
peers.
peers, they are your friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the losing out on friendship is one of the worst things which can happen to a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
um
Social
we
isolation. Yeah.
encourage
Yeah.
we encourage our kids to have friends
Yeah.
because it is important they are in socializing,
Yeah.
having conversations,
Yeah. And it's also part of their
and
moment
it is
of
a
figuring
part
out who they
who
are.
they are as people. And
Yeah.
also it also opens up the canvas for them to understand what life is.
Yes.
Because
Right.
you're always enclosed in an area where it was always first the mother father.
Correct.
Then you go to school and then you find at a young age you have teachers and students and around. But then as soon as you reach an age where you are more interactive and you're more socially
Yeah.
active, is when you start finding your friends. Then you start finding what you like and what you dislike.
Yeah.
Then you start saying that you do not want food from home and you want to sit with your friends and eat.
Correct.
Then you start having those kind of conversations. And I think that group, to be with your group, to be part of a group and not being isolated, is what is of immense importance
Yeah.
at that age, more than your parents.
Yeah. No. And
Because
also
they
that's when you start
know-
criticizing your parents.
Because they know that the parents are always going to be there.
Yeah.
But friends will go.
Yeah. Or you don't have that security.
And this is the year, this is
Yeah.
the time when they make friends and they are
Yeah.
part of that. And for Apeksha, that was more important, that for her to be with her friends, for her to make sure that her friends don't disown her,
Yeah.
is more important than her mother's vision and dream and everything.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So, but also, their behavior, like usually, the older generation, is beaten down and wants the child to conform, and the younger generation wants to dream big and try new things. But here, Apeksha,
यार गरीब को सपने देखने का हक नहीं होता.
at least on the outside, she seems almost resigned to being a maid. Like, I'll do it, it's okay. And I'm just curious. See, when I watched the film, I was wondering, is she kind of doing it in a slightly like to taunt her mother? Or is she kind of protecting herself from the disappointment that she thinks is coming? Because sometimes, you're kind of beaten on from the word go. And maybe, it has to do, like you said, your peers are so important. So if your friends don't dream, you don't dream.
Yeah.
And was this dynamic there from the beginning? Like, she's kind of, she's just, in some ways, she's kind of given up in some ways, at least at that point of time in the film.
For Apeksha, as a practical person, for her it was that my mother is thinking beyond means. Here we are celebrating someone who has upgraded himself from a driver to becoming a peon in an office.
Yeah,
So going to office is a big thing.
right.
And here you're thinking of something else which is way beyond our capacity. There's a line in the film where she says that, okay,
खुद तो अपनी जिंदगी में कुछ कर नहीं पाई और अब अपने सपने मुझ पे थोप रही है. और वैसे भी कॉलेज भेजने की ना तो तेरी हैसियत है और ना ही मुझे जाना है.
chalo, even if I become something, do you have the money?
Yeah.
So,
So
who are
she's
you
kind of
fooling?
protecting herself.
Who are you fooling?
But
you
is she
know?
protecting herself or is she protecting her mother? Like,
She's
I'm saying-
protecting herself.
Yeah.
She's protecting herself is because she still has an identity.
Yeah.
And for her, the where she is, like, what she talks about Pintu, she talks about Amma, she
Correct.
talks about everyone, and she says that they all are going to be something what they need to be. But that's not the truth.
No,
And that's what her mother is trying to explain. They don't
Correct.
need to be there where they want to
they
be.
can dream.
So
yeah.
that kind of conflict
It's very heavy, that
will
part.
always be there, is because and it's also leading her in the right way, because the scene which comes in later where she thinks that she has taken the money and
Yeah,
things have
yeah, that's my
happened.
next question.
Yeah.
Like, like being blind to the human who your mother is.
Yeah.
Your mother is your mother, but she is not an individual,
Yeah.
right? So being blind to them, it is kind of our early fate. You have to grow
Yeah.
into that
Yeah.
being more
Yeah.
mature. And, Apeksha's cruelty towards her mother, it seems accidental until then, or it seems like, innocent. But when she thinks her mother is earning money by soliciting and she steals it and calls it, and she says she uses that word,
हिसाब बराबर.
she's totally also moral policing her mother.
हाँ तो कौन से तेरे मेहनत के पैसे थे?
क्या कह रही है? फिर से बोलिए जरा.
देखा है मैंने. स्कूटर पे तुझे रोज कौन छोड़ने आता है?
यही सुनना बाकी था हरामजादी.
And that whole scene, I'm telling you, even now, like, there is that deep betrayal and that sadness and that slap. And, it is,
Yeah.
it was very,
See,
it's very
again,
potent.
it comes from the environment. In the environment where she stays in, she thinks that if a mother is going out in the night to work,
What else would she be
what
doing?
else should be doing? Is it because she's at that tender age of understanding the dynamics of world?
Yeah, yeah.
And for her, it is basically, what is the use of this money
Yeah. If this is the way it's
if this
been
is the
earned.
way it's going to be earned? And she's innocent, she's naive there. But from her mother's point of view, she's earning that money so that the girl can get more education. She didn't go to Mrs. Diwan and ask her for money.
Yeah, exactly.
She did it on her own. It's because Mrs. Diwan would have told her, I can give you half, but other half you will have to put in.
Yeah.
And which we all do, right?
Yeah,
We say
correct.
that I'll give you something, but you have to put others. You need to feel that you've bought
Yeah,
something. Everything
right.
can't come in easy.
Yeah.
I think that is a very important aspect. Here shows truly who's the daughter and who's the mother.
Correct. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, that is true. Yeah.
This is the place.
Yes.
Because you can be friends, you can be everything, you can curse each other.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is the place where you'll
Who is
actually
responsible for whom?
know who's responsible for whom.
Yes.
And
yeah.
who's the mother and who's the daughter.
Yeah.
And in every aspect of our lives, there'll be one point where our roles will be defined very clearly. Till then, it will be like hanging in the air. Somewhere in Apeksha, she is missing the little things. She feels that her mother is so focused on her studies and everything
Yeah.
around her is only about her education
Yeah.
that she's forgotten the little vanity of life. So for
Yeah,
her,
and-
going out in her escape,
Yeah.
going out and having an ice cream or going and buying a
Buy
new
something
shoes.
new. Yeah.
Because in her
There's no place
mother's
for fun, but
in her
no.
mother's space, there is no space for
Yeah,
fun,
no.
which is somewhere from the daughter's point of view. I think it's daughter will definitely feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Is that it can't be black and white.
No, and
you know,
everything
it
can't
has
be like
to.
nose to the grind. You have to have some fun.
Yeah.
You have to like, be a
So
little
yeah,
frivolous
I
with money.
understand your life. I understand what you want to do for me, but then there's me also. I
Yeah.
also want that red shoes, and I think it'll look nice on me. And I also want to go out and have a little fun.
But when she says that thing about, hisab barabar,
Yeah.
it is, where it's coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's the thing, like babies don't realize they are separate entities from their mothers until they're about 7 months. They still think they're like
Yeah,
physically like the
yeah.
same thing. And of course, when they realize it, they just totally freak out and they have stranger danger for like 2 months when they're
Yeah.
just yelling when anyone else comes in. But in some ways, like there's like that interdependence, it continues into
Yeah.
life as we just discovered. And that's also why we all end up going to therapy. It happens. So, mums, whether you enjoy it or not, there is a sense of personal power that you derive. And I think Chanda does have a sense
Yeah.
of some sort of a power. And you have spoken beautifully about the importance of women retaining their identity after marriage and having kids. And mostly we find this possible through work.
yeah,
Mostly. But her work is a necessity.
yeah.
She didn't have
yeah.
a choice. So even having an identity seems like one more thing she has to do
Yeah,
on top of
yeah,
everything else.
yeah.
So there's a deep poignancy and there's a lot of power. So when Chanda is aiming to facilitate this child who is now, trying to be independent, whatever, and she starts studying, she has to do is she has to shift the focus to herself here.
Yeah.
And it's momentous because suddenly she doesn't have to hover over her daughter because she has to worry about herself for the first time. And the daughter is feeling the loss.
तूने तो कहा था तू स्कूल नहीं आएगी ना, तो शरत का नाटक क्यों किया?
क्यों? नाटक करने का ठेका सिर्फ तूने नहीं रखा है क्या? हैं? जा, तुझे जो करना है कर ले. मैं तो स्कूल आऊंगी और इस बार के मासिक टेस्ट में तुझे तेरी सही औकात दिखाऊंगी, समझी?
Yeah.
The daughter's suddenly like, hey man, like what happened? Like where's the
Yeah.
spotlight on me all the time?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's beautiful because it's the commentary you're making, I think, here is that when you create confidence in yourself first, it can be painful for your child
Yeah.
to watch the mother as an individual,
Yeah.
but also eventually empowering.
Yes, yes. So she does all these things is because ultimately she wants to be empowering her daughter.
Right. And
And
she's going out of her comfort zone doing it.
most of the times we ourselves do not know what we are capable of.
Yeah.
So Chanda never knew that she could have been a leader because that's how she is, and
Yeah.
she her personality, if it had gone in the right way and she was educated and she could have done things, she would have been somewhere else. Maybe
Right.
she could have been a collector.
Correct.
But that instinct of hers always provides a source of dissatisfaction for her daughter, is because her daughter feels that she's competing with me,
Yeah.
and she's suddenly become bigger than me and my identity, and my friends are her
Yeah.
friends now. But somewhere deep down she's only doing it for her daughter, so that her daughter also gets competitive.
Correct.
And to the fact that one day she will be called as Apeksha's mother.
Yeah.
I think that's what is more important, that she would be called as Apeksha's mother, and that's the sense of pride for her.
Yeah. It's done so subtly and so beautifully. But it's almost like, hey, moms, you guys have to fix yourselves first. It's
Yeah.
like another representation of that. What's that thing called? The oxygen mask situation.
Yeah.
That unless it's on you, no one's going to survive.
Yeah.
It's really very nice. And also, like, the world tells us not to have expectations in relationships. That's
Yeah.
supposed to be the way you can
Yeah.
survive. But here, your movie is telling you that if you have expectations of someone and you are also working to facilitate them, it's kind of like this, the opposite of indifference is love, or like the opposite of love is indifference. So I think Nil Batte Sanata saying that you should expect more from those who you love.
She expected far too much from her mother.
Apeksha expected far too much from her mother in terms of like what? Like
In terms of
like freedom
in terms of freedom, in terms of like,
Okay.
do not interfere in my life. Whereas the mother expected a lot from her daughter
Okay.
in terms of achieving all these things.
Yeah.
Till the time it ended into one kind of turmoil.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. So so there was a mismatch of what was
There was a
going on. Yeah.
mismatch of what was
Because
going on.
expectations are never just one way. The absence of a father and a husband in Apeksha and Chanda's household, okay, it's not really made much of also. It's a big hole, but you're not yelling down that chasm.
Yeah.
And there's no hand wringing. There's no like, oh, if this had
Yeah.
happened, would have been better. And Chanda's determination, her ambition, her worry for her child, it's not even from any insecurity about the lack of a father figure.
Yeah.
At no point of time
Yeah.
does she like worry about that. And you get the impression that, of course, she's freer to make decisions for her kid. She's able to take on more work. She goes to school because that expectation of the housewife, like
Yeah.
how Indra Nooyi's mother-in-law said, come and do the groceries on your way back home. And therefore, she's also allowed her own coming of age because that is something that married women are not allowed.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now, just if we had to imagine what Chanda's backstory is and what happened to the father of Apeksha, and if it had been a more typical household, how would you strike this balance when it came to having aspirations for your child and then also for yourself? Did you consider at any point of time having a husband or a
Yeah, so
father
this is a
figure?
very important question. The role of a man in a woman's life and what he could do if he was alive or
Yeah.
whatever. The thing is that he could have only added to the income.
Yeah.
Because everything else is still about her doing things, or maybe she would have produced more kids.
Exactly, which is
You
even
know,
would have been harder.
the mostly fear, and this comes from excessive reading and understanding what happens in society, is that the moment if she had expected that she was falling in love and she wanted to get remarried
Yeah.
and she wanted a companion,
Yeah.
the companionship would last only for a few months, is because then after that again she would be expected to have a child.
Correct.
And I don't think so she's that kind of person who wanted that kind of responsibility, and
The
she would rather
the responsibility
and
of being in a
maybe you call
relationship.
her selfish,
No.
but she's thinking of herself, is because she has a daughter to take care of.
Yeah.
And I think a responsibility becomes her daughter. For her daughter is more important than anyone else.
Right.
And somewhere if you go deep down into her psyche, she would be someone the one person she would trust is herself.
Yeah.
And no one else, because I don't think so she would want to go back to another round of conversations, and then expectations,
Yeah.
and then again reliving a life which is no more there,
Yeah.
and her life is on her terms and what she wants to do, and also someone who really doesn't care what the world thinks about her.
No.
She's
She
in her
really
own
doesn't,
world. She
yeah,
doesn't care about
yeah.
the world thinks about her, and
And
she's
not even
happy
in a
there.
bad way. She's just
Yeah.
like, this is what I've got.
This
I've
is
got
how
shit to
it
do,
is.
man. I have
And
no time.
people,
Yeah.
and the funny part is, and that's a good part, is that the more and more you start portraying yourself in a certain way, the surrounding start accepting you. Society starts accepting you that
Yeah.
way,
That's
and
true.
then
That's a
starts
lovely point.
and
Yeah.
starts becoming a part of
Yeah,
you.
when
Then
you're comfortable with who you are, then
Yeah,
suddenly
yeah.
it becomes easier
It
to go
becomes
through life.
easier to
Yeah,
become
yeah.
that.
It's somebody
So,
else's
yeah,
problem anyway,
yeah.
what they think of you. That's beautiful. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I'm going to break protocol coming from you.
Break protocol.
Thank you so much. This is like really lovely. If you've reached the end of this video, hey, we love you back. Don't forget to subscribe to The Swallow.